Hi everyone, how are you all keeping? Hope you all had a nice midterm. In today's class, I want you all to go onto the iBus app that you downloaded in a previous class. Now, the reason why we're going using this is because I got a few emails from people saying they didn't have the correct materials to do the collage. So this was a bit of an idea to do to actually make a joint collaboration piece, okay? So what I'd like you to do first is go into my gallery, then you're going to go down and click the little plus icon. Now, what I want you to do is instead of importing an image, which we did previously, or selecting a size of a canvas, I want you to scroll right down to the end and come down here where it says 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters. Okay, it's a small little square canvas, and that's the one that I want you to select for today. Now, the reason why we're selecting this piece is because if you take a look there when I zoom out, it's actually a small square, okay? Now, the idea behind this is that this is your tile, okay? And you're creating your or 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters tile, and so will everybody else. Then, once you send them all in, I'll be able to put them all together within this app and we'll see what type of project we come up with. Okay. Now I've made or another one previously. I'll just show you that in a while. But to get started, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to start with the paintbrush icon. So it's already selected the paintbrush down here. I'm just going to select the size of the paintbrush and I'm just going to select the black color. Okay, now what I'd like you to do is I want you to just start with a few lines. That one was a bit too wide, so I'm just going to go a bit lower. Now this can be just as random as you want to make it, and I'll be explaining why later. Okay, so I'm just going to start with this amount of lines, okay? It's not going to be too technical, just something quite simple. Then I want you to come down here to where the paintbrush icon is and select the paint bucket, okay? From there then, what I want you to do is I want you to select some random colors to put in place around your canvas. Okay, so I'm just gonna select a few random colors there now, and then we will get going. Now it doesn't really matter too much about what colors you want to select at the start, because we're going to be editing it later to do complementary and contrasting colors. So we'll make it quite interesting then. The one thing I would suggest is try keep different tones away from each other. So for instance, there now having that red and that pink side by side probably isn't the best idea. So I'll just pop, I'll make that a bit darker. I'll pop a blue in there. That's very similar to the green, so I'm going to just change that again, make it a bit darker. Okay. And now, as you can see there, you can just drag it around this color wheel and it will transform the color. I'm going to go for actually a bit darker green there instead. Nearly done there now, and I like that orange. Okay, so since we have all our colors in there now, we can see that we've made up a small little tile with a random collection of colors, a small bit like the collage that we were making in the last class. Now, what I'd like to try today is to actually start creating a collage. Now, this was inspired by Kerry, and it was also inspired by Saoirse and Faye. I seen that the collages that they handed in were quite interesting, the way the colors overlapped and the way they had imagery on top of them. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is start by pressing the plus button. We'll start a new layer. I'm going to import an image and I'm going to select this one here that I found off the internet. Now you can drag and move this to suit your piece as much as you want. I'm just going to pop it over here for the meantime, and it'll come up here with, do you want to make it into black and white? You just click no. Now this is the important part, okay? You have your few different layers here now, but I've selected the layer with the girl's face on it. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to get the opacity or the transparency of the layer, and as you can see on the right hand side over here, or sorry, on the left hand side over here, you'll see the image is fading. Now why I want to do this is because I only want this image for an actual outline, to outline it. So I'm just going to put it there. Then I am going to go in. Sorry, actually what I might do is I might click this transform button where you can move around the image. And what I'm going for is, do you see this line that's following along her face, where the Rembrandt lighting is kind of hitting her face? So it's creating this bright highlights on this side and these dark shadows on the left hand side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try get that line as close as possible to the natural line that I have going through my canvas. Okay, so I'm going to click there and I'm going to pop back over to my original canvas. Now the reason why I'm not drawing on this one is because I'm going to rub out this layer later. Okay, so I'm going to pop back over to this one and I'm going to zoom in. Now I want to go back to my paintbrush and I'm also going to select a black tone. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm just going to outline. Oh, that's a bit thick. I'm just going to outline around the face. So this is just to basically help any students that don't like drawing realistic imagery, and it's basically just to kind of give you an idea or a sense of the artwork instead of actually carrying out the full thing. So I'm just going to color in parts of this just to kind of get an idea. Now it's a bit hard to do it at the start, so I'm just going to get an impression of it at least. Now 2 seconds there now, and I'll pop over to the other eye on the opposite side. Now as you can see, it can be quite hard to get it right, so you can go back and forth. Oh, sorry, that rubber is far too big. So you can go back and forward and do whatever works best for you. Actually, I'm just going to get rid of that. And now the reason why I'm outlining these lines, and I'll show you later, is because I'm going to incorporate them into my collage that I've done. So a bit like the or what was it? Something Lopez? I can't remember the name of the artist now. But it's a bit like his piece, but what I'm doing is I'm actually using imagery that I found off the internet, and I'm going to use them to help my artwork instead of actually trying to freehand draw on this app, because sometimes freehand drawing can be quite difficult, while tracing might be a bit easier for people. So let's see, can we do it? Now it's important too that once you have the facial features done or whatever you are colouring in, I also have a flower that I'm going to try out and see how it works. Make sure that you're putting in the lines up for the face as well, okay? So make sure that you get those gesture lines down. And we're going to just come out here and up top. Now I'm just going to use that as an example just for the meantime, okay? And I'll just show you what your next stages are of the piece. Okay, so the next stage, go back into your layers. Then you want to turn off, so this little eye icon will let you see and unsee what you've just drawn. So I've just outlined a face here. Now what I can do is I can go back in and see any gaps that I have in between the lines. I want to make sure that they're blocked, because I'm going to use the paint bucket icon in a second, and I'm going to fill in the colors. So I just want to make sure that all those lines are connected up. Then I'm going to go to my paint icon. So I'm going to go back in here into the paint bucket. Now what I want to do here is I want to get the contrast in color to this blue. Okay, so if we're trying to find a contrast in color, what we can do is go into this eyedrop first, select the color blue that you were using, go into it on the color wheel. Now, a contrasting color is the color that's directly across from your primary or from the main color that you've been using across the color wheel. Okay, so if I was using this blue, my contrasting color would be this orangey yellowy tone. Okay, so I'm going to use that and I'm going to pop it in there so that these two colors are contrasting and it's popping out. Now for the lips, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to make that tone a bit darker to suggest that it's a different piece of the image. And this one then I'm going to go a small bit lighter for the top lip. Okay, then I'm going to go back over to my paintbrush. I'm going to select black again just to make sure that we're all in the correct colors. I'm going to seal up this area, bring the glasses right to the end. Yep, so that should be okay. Then what, oh yeah, I'm also going to block off this area here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, get my bucket, then go back and get the eyedropper. Oh, sorry, I selected on the wrong thing. Get the eyedropper, click on the red, and I'm going to go to the opposite side of the color wheel, which will get me this kind of cyan kind of color. Okay, so I'm going to pop that in there. Then I'm going to go for a small bit of a different tone, just a tiny bit, just to give it a different impression. And I'm going to go for a bit more darker up by the nose. Then inside in the glasses, I'm going to go for a lighter tone, just to indicate that there's a highlight on the glass. And in her eyes, I'm going to go for a far brighter tone. Okay, now this all depends on what you are actually trying to create. So be sure to kind of trial and error and see how you get on with it. I'm just going to pop in those colors in those last two places in there. Okay, then I'm going to move on to this last piece over here. So I'm going to go back into my paint dropper. Sorry, that keeps on hitting on the wrong icon. So back into the paint dropper, select the green, back into my color wheel. The directly opposite color will be around there. I'm going to paint that in here and here. Then I'm going to go for a lighter tone inside the glasses. So in there. And I'm going to go for a lighter tone again on the face. And then the eye, I'm going to go for a brighter kind of white. Just in here. And for her actual pupil, because I didn't color it in black, I'm going to go for very dark pink. Okay, so as we can start to see, the contrasting colors are starting to pop out. Okay, now I have one more to do just down here. So again, I'm just going to go in, I'm going to get the eyedropper, select the color, opposite side of the color wheel, select that green, and change it up to make the lips a bit darker, and top lip a bit brighter. Okay, so we can kind of see here now how I've taken a very simple image and I've made contrasting colors and brought it into my collage. Okay, now obviously that was a very rushed piece just for demonstration purposes. You can also bring in flowers, so say if you wanted to bring in flowers into your piece, you could take a flower like this, bring it anywhere you want, and I don't want it black and white. You're going to bring down the opacity so that you can see behind it, and make sure you select the layer that you're going to be drawing on. Okay, then you're just going to go back into your paintbrush and you're going to be starting to draw. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put it into black. You can start drawing your leaves. Okay, now this might take a small bit longer, but the effects that you'll get using this kind of contrasting color will be very interesting, and I can't wait to see it, because I'm going to overlay all the different images that I get sent in, and that way we can actually start creating this collaborative piece together instead of just random drawings that we each have. Okay, so like this now, you'll start drawing out your flower that you're going to create, and as soon as you delete that layer then, so if I go up here and if I just delete that one layer, what I'm left with is the outline of the flower on this side, okay? So try it out anyway, see what you can come up with. Test out as many ideas as you can and send them in as soon as possible, okay? Now, when you are sending them in, go down here to this icon and it'll ask you, do you want to save as a transparent PNG or save as a PNG, okay? I just want you to save as a PNG, so you just click that save and it should save into your folder. Then you can either go into my gallery and you can either email it to us or you can send it any which way you want, okay? Here's another one that I was just trialing out at the start, just seeing how you can make different shapes. Now, I'm not saying that they all had to be just these kind of swirly shapes. I just did that because it kind of matched with the collage that I was creating, but it's totally up to you how you want to create it. Okay? Best of luck with it, guys, and email us if you have any questions about it. Okay? Best of luck.